Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a boxing fan of the last golden era of the sport, which is pretty well 59 to about 79, the magazine you went to detail your fans, your favorites, and results was Ring Magazine. Now, in most parts of North America, the magazine came out several weeks after results were either confirmed or hit the boxing universe. So that means Ali could defend his title in March. You only read it in Ring Magazine in May. But it was so timely in relation to the writing and descriptive. It was your last taste of these fights, which you listened to or watch on television, to give the professional perspective of these bouts. Now, what really stood out for me from about 1965 to when Ring became a little bit more modern in the late 70s was the layout of its front of his magazine. Sometimes it would have a very dramatic action photo, sometimes a tail-to-tape dual photo, like a fight between fighters, or a solo photo or artwork of key fighters or historical people. Now, Ring Magazine was well known for that. A very colorful front page. Again, multicolored, not say headlines, but details of what's pretty well inside. Now, we went to our local newsstand. We usually put down anywhere between 75 cents and $1.25, $1.50 for all the pages therein. Now, in the mid-70s, they went to glossy paper in the middle, but it was more like the high-end paper that was being used in the 1970s. Now, for me, what really stood out, ladies and gentlemen, in the first 8 or 16 pages of the magazine, do have the major results or the major essays of things of the moment, like the controversial USBA boxing tournament, the controversial results Spinks Ali won, the old Marciano Ali debate when he set up that computerized bout where Marciano won it, or the rise of Frazier after Ali was suspended, the rise of the lightweights and the junior weights, including Duran and Monzon and all the key bantamweights to light heavyweights. And again, the big super cards of the late 70s were very prominent when the belts at the heavyweight side were split, where Larry Holmes and Ken Norton took the WC title belt and Ali went with the WBA. Now, you can get probably a lot of Ring magazines at garage and yard sales. Maybe not as much of the 1960s, but the 70s into the early 80s are well put together. Now, most of these magazines, again, the original layout in the 70s was individual results with a continued page later on. But by the late 70s, it would be individual boxes of key fights. And usually how it would work, if those key fights were on the undercard of the major title, it'll be in the same sequence. So Ring Magazine's writing never really got any worse or any better. The same great writers were there all the time. But the layout was left in a little bit better, and the way to present it itself was better. But for a lot of people, those front covers, especially in Canada, you look at the Foreman Chevalier cover, and you also look at when Duran first appeared on Ring Magazine, where he was still pretty well unknown outside of the west coast of the States. The infamous Carlos Monzon artwork cover, and again the famous photo between when the welterweights Benitez and Palomino and other top fighters were going at each other, and that was featured. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to do, if you have any friends in your family that were boxing fans or have passed on, to check with those families to see some of these Ring magazines are still around, because the cover tells a story, but the inside is just as valuable. But for me, as a later graphic artist for Brunswick News as part of my job, I was always inspired by the sub-headlines of Ring Magazine, where sometimes I would do to give you a sub-headline on the cover and the main headline in the article inside. Very mischievous. Anyway, so that's the latest in our vintage, boxing podcast. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe. And this is dedicated to all the fighters who made it to Ring Magazine, because literally, you made it there. It was the Bible of boxing, and that's what it provided to the viewers who watch TV, listeners on radio. You turn to Ring Magazine to see what their interpretation of the fight was and if it matched up. Thanks for listening. Bye.